People are talking about 1984, the book, as if it applies to any kind of situation we're in today, and I'm here to disabuse you of that notion. 1984 is an old paradigm. Here's what I mean. 1984 is about government surveillance in an era where elites control the government of every major country and control the populace through disinformation, redefinition of words, changing the news media, right? So clamping down on news media and even history itself. So controlling education and referential information. And then also by having never-ending wars, never-ending conflicts between nation states so that you always have an enemy and that enemy is outside, right? This is a top-down control of society by government elites who know what they're doing. For example, in the book, the main character is contacted by what appears to be a very enlightened member of the elite class who is trying to lead towards revolution to change the way the government is to save the common people, right? So he is led into this path of doing so. And it turns out that elite member is just playing games. He's just trying to find out maybe he's bored, but he's also reporting what's going on. And the main character eventually gets called out and reprogrammed to not be that way. In other words, the elites know the real facts, but do not care. Now, if any of that sounds familiar, you're right. There is an element to that. The elites today play games. They do. You can see this with MSNBC and NBC trying to hire Rona after she left the RNC and her coming out and disavowing all the things that she was in support of and she assisted Trump with and the MAGA people with while she was the head of the RNC. And then she comes out and she says, oh, actually, I was against all this. I just had to do that because it was my job. So she knew she was just playing a part. So that sounds really familiar to 1984. 1984 is not the right paradigm for today. So what is? Fahrenheit 451. That's the paradigm for today. Now, see, in 1984, you had government surveillance through a two-way TV in the home. So every home had a wall-mounted TV, and there was government surveillance through that device. And the government was watching everything you did, and you had to find a corner of the room that wasn't visible to the camera, right, on that device, the two-way part of that. And that sounds, that's so much like today. We have all these devices that are monitoring us, and even we have Alexa, and we have Google Home, and we have Apple, whatever it's called. I don't care. We have all that in surveillance, and it's all happening. It's all happening. But no, it's, at least in the United States, it's not the government putting that in our houses. We're putting them in our houses. And that's like Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451, everyone is tied to their wall-size TV. Yeah. And they impose restrictions on each other socially, for example, book burnings, peer-to-peer. That is, it's the community policing themselves. It's not a government-down repression. Society is repressing each other. And if there's any repressing by the government, it's because that's what the people in the society want. The society people are pushing for it. They're the ones that are complaining about their neighbors who have books that they shouldn't have. They're the ones that show up to do the fireman's job, that is, the actual book burnings. This is a grassroots control of society that government participates in because, it's of the people, by the people, government. That is the paradigm for today's environment. This is a grassroots up oppression. The people in power are just trying to grasp hold of power and do what their constituents want. Yeah, so all of this stuff that's taking away women's rights to choose, there is a big part of our society that grassroots up want that to happen. Why is Trump popular in some circles? It's because that's the grassroots up part. He tapped into the part of society where he could utilize his abilities to get power. We all know about Donald Trump's political history. Wasn't the first time he ran for president in 2015, 2016. Was not the first time. He actually did it under the Reform Party, but people thought it was a joke. And at the time, when he had gone on some media, he talked about being a Democrat donor and being pro-abortion, pro-choice. He talked about aligning with Democrat values. And then what happened? Well, he didn't get God. He read the tea leaves. The people that would support him were the less educated people that were impressed by his wealth and would follow him. And what they wanted is a white knight to bring back the moral majority values that they thought they held. He picked that up. Also, a large helping of racism. That didn't hurt anything. He saw the Tea Party for what it was. He ran with it better than anyone else. But he didn't start this. This started from the ground up. Fahrenheit 451, to me, is the scarier dystopian future, the one that we're walking into. You look around, there are certain projects here on this app where the grassroots people are enforcing a kind of ethical morality in the content creators, that if they're not doing something enough that these grassroots people want, they have no problem harassing them. None at all. It's just important for the movement or whatever it is, right? And that's not 1984-ish. That would not happen in the world of 1984. That would have been shut down. No, that is Fahrenheit 451-ish. That's the era we're living in. So don't focus too much on 1984, because we're not going to get there. We don't have that, at least in America and in Europe at this point. Maybe in China, you could say it's leaning towards 1984-ish, but that's a unique case. That's a unique case. That is not happening in America. Fahrenheit 451, yeah, that's what we're into today.